Episode number 218.
When I tell them about these gratitude exercises and the manifestation list and the gratitude exercises, because I will tell you that within 3 weeks, you really start to shift your mind and how you view the world.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I'm fired up today, and you should be too, because we got my man and our featured guest today, Alex Vidal from the Closer Club. Alex, are you ready to be real?
Dude, I thought I had a lot of energy. You topped me off, man. This is going to be awesome. Let's do it. Let's rock.
Let's get this, my man. He is the president of the related ISG International Realty and the host of the Closer Club, folks. And we're pumped to have you on the show today because I'm so excited to talk about real estate and sales, as well as just getting your mindset into the business. But like I do all the guests, I ask, how's your day going today?
Dude, every day is fun. I don't know. Am I allowed to curse? I shouldn't.
Heck yeah. Whatever you'd like, man. Let's do it.
I don't want
too much.
I don't want to curse. My day's doing awesome. I recently started doing a couple things, right? Which has really shifted my whole entire mindset. I've always been a positive guy. I can tell you're always a positive guy. But it's like exercise. You really have to work on that positive mindset every day. And so I have a journal now. This is audio only. I can show it to you because we're doing it via video, but carry this thing around with me everywhere. And essentially there's three things in this journal.
Mm-hmm.
First one is my manifestation list. And I have 25 manifestations in there. Personal, which are just related to my family and all that. Personal and business, which has to do with my real estate portfolio with my wife. And my podcast, as I'm sure you have goals for your podcast as well. And then the third is my professional, having to do with my brokerage and our business that way. But then at the end of and those are things that, essentially manifestations are things for which you're grateful for as if they already happened, yet they haven't, right? And I do that 3 times a day, and it's great. It really keeps you centered on what your goals are. But the other thing that I've done is, and I've done it for about a month and a half straight now, is at the end of every night, even when I get home at 3 a.m. from a night out in Fort Lauderdale, I'm writing down things for which I'm grateful for. And they're typically 3 to 5, but on my tough days, I force myself to write down between 25 and 30.
Wow.
And I do that on purpose because it shows you that even on the days that you get your ass kicked,
right,
you have a lot to be grateful for.
Right.
And the third is actually every day I send a positive note to somebody. I learned this from a TED Talk. I send a positive note to somebody just saying how grateful I am to have them in my life and for the reasons for which I'm thankful. And that has completely shifted. Every day is amazing, man. It really is.
Is it an email or are you sending an actual physical message?
Text message.
Oh, text message. Okay, nice. So a different buddy or someone you're thinking about, just tell them your gratitude. And it's not just a copy and paste thing. It's actually personally to this person.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Yes.
Totally personalized, and the reason for which I'm grateful to have them in my life. There's a great TED Talk by a guy named Sean Acor, and it was about the secret to a happy life. It's about having a happy work life, if I remember correctly. And it's a 12-minute TED Talk. It's hilarious, and it works. Let me just put it that way.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try doing that too, because sometimes I have those moments where I'm just like, do it to a bunch of buddies, you know what I mean? And I'm not doing it copy and paste style. I still am taking a little bit of time that does to personalize it, but I think it's even more special when it's like once a day, your intentions are really fully behind that, folks. I think this is just a great point in that the little things you can do, even saying grateful for your customers. Say, hey, you know what? I'm just so grateful for you. I just want to tell you that we love working hard for you and we're going to keep working hard for you in 2020. Anything you need, just reach out anytime. And something simple like that, right?
Well, dude, you know what it is? It's like this, man. I run my office, my company, is 5 offices and about 500 realtors. We're in the process of building out our 6th office down here.
Wow.
And so I tell people all the time, there are 3, let me backtrack. There are 3 things I think you need in order to be successful, right? The first one is, and probably the 3, I would rank it as the number 3, but a close to a number 2, is got to be in the right environment, right? The second one is you got to have that inner motivation, because that inner motivation, which to me is the number 1, is the thing that's going to get you out of bed in the morning when you don't want to get out of bed. And then the third is the how. How are you going to accomplish whatever you're going to accomplish? But that inner motivation is the most important, because you can be the best closer. I could be the best, interviewer for my podcast. I can be the best real estate broker. None of that matters if I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. So that's how important it is. And you have to work on it every day. And that's why I go through the gratitude exercises. And, I actually set the tone for the week, where on Sundays I write myself a one-liner that's the set the tone. And so I'll look at my week this week. I think I had 28 different actual meetings on my calendar. And my message to myself for the week was, you were built for this shit, and that's just lean on that.
And that's what you got to do, folks. We're all built for this shit.
Right.
At the end of the day, like we can all handle a whole lot. It's just a matter of what we're doing every day, waking up and making this shit happen, right? I mean, you've been building your business, dude. You don't just get to the size and level of business that you've got without working hard. No,
man. When I took over 5.5 years ago, we had 2 offices and about 40 realtors.
Gotcha.
And the growth that we've had, we've done it organically, one-on-one, no real acquisitions, which a lot of my competitors or other real estate brokerages in the marketplace that are my size have done it through acquisition.
Right.
Not my MO, because I think when you do acquisitions, you're it's like buying followers. You're not really buying people that buy into what you're providing them. Right. And so I'd rather do it. It takes longer, absolutely. But from a retention standpoint, you're going to keep that person a lot longer because they're buying in to what you're providing them. And as long as you can maintain that and create a raving fan out of them, then you're better off doing it that. So it's taken us a lot longer, but we've done it one at a time, and it's paid off really well for us, thankfully.
So folks, to get to 40 to 500, my man, tell me about that. Like, what is the pitch? I mean, because I'm sure that's how you've kind of built this thing, right? By having more team members, having more realtors representing your brand.
Well, it was it started off with, when I came in, I said, guys, listen, there's one of me, and I had no managers at the time. I have 3 sales managers now. I had no sales managers at the time. I had 2 administrators in each of the offices. And I said, when we rolled it out, the announcement that I was becoming the leader of the company, if you can even call it that at the time, because there was only 40-something people, I went to them. I said, guys, listen, there's one of me. There's 40-something of you. My goal is to focus all of my attention on you and to create a raving fan out of you. And if I can create a raving fan out of you, I want you to go, and every time you interact with another real estate broker, to tell them how wonderful our company is. And then all of a sudden it went from 40 to 60, from 60 to 80, from 80 to 110 to 150, so on and so forth. We actually got as high as 560.
Wow.
And then we fired around 130 independent contractors. So
right.
We fired like the bottom 20, 25% that were doing shit. Built it back up, and we're about to go through another cleaning now, actually.
Right. Is that part of it too, is always kind of going through the cleaning too, and keeping, obviously, the people that are motivated and are willing to do the work? And
interesting question. So you kind of get 2 schools of thought on that. One school of thought is, no, you don't clean house because they're independent contractors. They're not costing you any money. So what does it matter if you have 500 or 1,000?
Right.
And my school of thought is the reverse. There may be no tangible cost to having them in the company, but there's a lot of intangible, because when you have brokers who aren't producing, they're usually blaming everybody but themselves for that lack of production. So as a result, what they're doing is they're going into your office, they're complaining to their manager, they're complaining to the other agents in the office, and then all of a sudden you have a cancer. And they're an energy, there's 2 types of people: energy providers and energy drainers. They're energy drainers, and so there's an actual cost, in my opinion, to them. So a lot of companies don't like to do it. There's a lot of ego in our business and I was a victim of this for a long time. I've been in the business almost 23 years. And for probably 22 and a half years of that, I tell you, I liked saying we had 500 and something realtors and we were one of the biggest in the country. I'm over that now. I actually want to get down to 300, and I'd rather have 300 producing agents that are committed to real estate. They're committed to our brokerage. And then I know that from a brokerage perspective, we're doing everything in our power to provide them the tools and the personnel to make sure that they can maintain those 2 commitments, to the business and to the brokerage.
Right.
And so we're one of the few that are doing that whole cleaning house.
It's fascinating. I'm proud of you for that, man, because I'm sure that's hard sometimes, because these are people that maybe have emotional attachment to or whatever as well.
It is, and you also hear the school talk. Well, I think there's a saying. It's something like every squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. So it's like, oh, they will do that one deal.
Yeah.
But at what expense are you really getting that one deal? It's just not. It really isn't worth the brain damage at that point.
Versus the person that's doing 12.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, because real estate is it's one of those plug and play deals, folks. I mean, let's just be real. It's you have to work hard, but the property itself is the shining glory, right? At the end of the day, the property's selling the next owner, and you just have to represent it well and do a good transaction, be fair and honest. I mean, be transparent with whatever you can be. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. And then have the hustle like you have to do it every day for 20 plus years. I mean, that's
correct. And you bring up a great point. It's not about everybody thinks it's about the property, and it's not, because you're not going to say anything that's going to get somebody to fall in love with a property, unless it's an investment property and you're trying to sell them on a cap rate or something. But if it's for an end user, they're going to walk in and they're going to envision their life there. They're going to envision their family there. They're going to envision their kids playing in the yard, or if they're entertainers, having a party in the yard. Like, I live on an acre, and we have, I think, 60 kids coming tomorrow for the birthday party for my boys.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, like, my wife, that was what she envisioned when we bought the property, right? And so you have that, but then where we come in as realtors is being able to then not only find them the right property that when they walk in, they fall in love with it, but then knowing enough about the market, knowing enough about what entails of the real estate transaction to walk them through, make sure they're getting a fair deal, or the right deal, or a great deal,
right.
Negotiate and holding their hand through that transaction. And that really is what's going to separate us. I think realtors that are going to thrive in our business versus the ones that are going to go away as technology starts playing a bigger role in real estate.
Right.
You're going to see there's people do business with you for two reasons. They like you and they trust you. They like you because you spend time with them, right? Face to face, belly to belly, palm to palm.
Right.
Trust you because you know more than the computer does.
Right.
Possible.
And you're going to get them a better deal too, right? I mean, that's part of it too.
But you got to tell them, you got to show them that. You can't tell them, you got to show them.
You got to show them.
And you got to show them by being able to provide them more value than what a computer can. And so that's where the realtors really are going to thrive. And that's where we as realtors will stand out. If we can show people that they should like us for this reason and they can trust us for this reason, we'll beat the tech and all that.
Then that goes to my next question for you, my man, because I'm sure that you said you've built a real estate portfolio for yourself, for your family.
I'm starting.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm very transparent about that. My family took a major beating in the last real estate market.
Yes.
Miami was, one of the markets that got hit the hardest.
Right.
So what was interesting about it was in 2013, when we were kind of, at the rock bottom, when we were coming out of it, we got to a position over the last few years that we were finally back to normal, strong, financially healthy.
Right.
And I made a goal for myself last year to buy our first two investment properties. We had lost everything else in the crash.
Right.
And it's so funny, man. I look back and I said, we didn't find the right property because the prices were too high or the cap rates were too high.
Right.
I can give you every single excuse as to why we didn't buy investment property last year. And there was no excuse other than the fact that I was scared shitless because I didn't want to take the money out of my bank account because I was scared of what happened in 2013 leading up to 2013.
Right.
And so we're starting our real estate portfolio. We're actually under contract for our first multifamily property now.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Because I've always wondered about this. I mean, you see so many different people making money in real estate. I mean, I'm going to be on a few podcasts, guys, that are doing the flips. And there's people obviously on the HGTVs that are making money. There's people that are just buying these things. Like one of my clients, Jim, has like 13 family houses, but they're all paid off because Jim's a real smart businessman. And so Jim, this dude's like, hey, I got 13 families working hard for me every single day. They're going to work and I'm the main check they're giving. And he self-manages them and everything. But it's just so interesting because there's different points of view on how to do it, So would these for you be buy and hold long-term for your family's overall net assets?
1,000,000%. Us personally, we don't have the time or the knowledge to get into fix and flips.
Right.
Between the brokerage and the show, there's very limited time that we have. And my wife is a pediatrician and she works full time as well.
Right.
So there's very limited time for us to spend into getting into fix and flips and all that. So we want to buy, we want to hold long term. One of the greatest pieces of advice I never took, and I regret myself, I'm kicking myself in the ass for doing it, was when I was 21, my boss at the time told me, he goes, Alex, he goes, buy a property a year, every year for the next 15 years, and do 15-year mortgages on them.
15-year mortgage.
Just don't worry about making any money on it. Just do a property a year for 15 years and do 15-year mortgages. Don't worry about, getting a profit on them. As long as you break even on them, you're cool.
You're good, yes.
Done enough so that in 15 years, when you're 36, you'd be owning a property outright every single year going forward.
Every year. That's crazy.
And at this point, I'd be at 15 properties right now. Or I'm sorry, I'd be at 5 properties owned cash.
Right.
And I don't, because I didn't take his advice. I was an idiot,
So that's the goal now.
That's the goal now. Absolutely.
Shit, folks. I'm like, this is interesting, man. You're getting me excited, man. 15 properties. Okay.
15 properties, one a year. 15 mortgages. I got to speed it up though. I'm 41 now. I'm going on 42, so I gotta get going.
Right. So maybe 2 a year. Yeah.
No, that is absolutely the goal. And the financing marketplace right now is very appealing to home buyers or investors like myself, where you can buy properties with 15% down, get 4.5% interest rate for a 30-year mortgage. So it's almost like the mortgage you're going to get on a typical residential your main property, but you're getting it on investment properties. And
as long as it's in that 15 years though, too, they want their money back faster, right? That's kind of the key focus, folks.
Right.
So don't think of it 30 years, do 15. Shit, that makes me interested, man. I'm like, hey, it can even be just a small little unit, it doesn't have to be anything. I mean, because you never know about the prices. They say that's the crazy thing about the prices. You just never know what's going to happen with the prices. You know what I mean?
So they say that, and I'm walking. I know you may edit this out or not.
It's all good, bro. Yeah, we're being real, baby.
I got to lower my AC. You're getting me worked up over here.
Woo! Let's get it.
So where were we? We were talking about the prices.
The prices.
The pricing thing is interesting. As long as I don't know, we're getting it appraised, obviously, so that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I'm not overpaying for it, I have no intentions of selling anytime soon.
Right.
And as long as it's cash flowing, I'm cool. So,
right.
I'm not overpaying for it. That's all I care about. I'm not overpaying for it. So.
And how many units are you going on this one? Because I'm seriously interested in this money. Because I honestly, this is what I've done. My family's always been into stocks, and I still kind of took that route and realized that outside of my business, investing in great companies, could grow and make a lot of money, and then I could pull out some of that money. I bought my first property from some profit off a few stocks, and I've got money, set aside, but it's all in the a lot of it's in the market, folks. And in my business, I got crypto, I got a few things. I don't do anything into real estate besides my own house. You know what I mean? And so, but we're thinking eventually at some point turning this house into a rental. But man, I like what your idea is. Go out and find something and have a 15-year plan, because man, those things would really start paying off once you get to year 15.
Yeah, and even then I'll only be 56. So
shit,
I'm young.
Not at all. Yeah, hell yeah. We're gonna live to 200. You never know, folks.
That very funny you say that. I joke with my wife about that all the time. I tell her, the medicine has gone so far along that by the time we're in our 60s, medicine is going to allow us to live into our hundreds, which is kind of scary at the same time too, right? Because you got to support yourself that much longer.
I know. Me and my wife, we decided to bank our daughter's stem cells, folks. So we got 703 million stem cells banked for who knows what reasons. There's a lot of different things.
What do they call it? Cord blood registry or something like that?
Cord blood. Yeah, we got the cord blood, the placenta, and man, it's crazy what they could do nowadays, But yeah, it's fascinating. A fascinating time. We are living in the future, my man.
Dude, my wife had brain surgery 3 years ago. I think we were going on her 3 or 4, maybe even 4 years at this point.
Oh, wow.
And long story short, they found an unruptured aneurysm. So an aneurysm is like when the artery in the brain bleeds out. And so it's like a bubble, like an abnormality in the vein. Dude, and they fixed it they went up her artery in her leg, up into her brain, and placed a stent.
I've heard of this.
10 years ago, they would have cut her head open.
Oh, my God.
To do it.
Wow.
Right? So that's like just in the last 10 years. Where do you think we're going to be 10 years from now and 20 years from now when it comes to medicine and technology,
And if you want your mind blown, go to Neuralink on Google. And that's Elon Musk's new company where they insert chips and things for people that have strokes and things like that, where they could reset their certain function based on, basically on robots, AI, all these different things, but then they're setting in their brain. So it's fascinating. It's just a fascinating world, man. And obviously, anything Elon does, you kind of have to kind of say, this guy's going to probably get it done.
That guy's an abnormality of the positive kind. It's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for the world, he's the Einstein of this world, you know. That's and right. So we're grateful in many ways. I've been grateful because I bought a stock at $26. But the point will be, but will be true in that, you know, at the end of the day, he's changing the world. You know, I think he's one of those visionaries that is doing it for the real good of the world. And with all the companies from SpaceX, when we're just throwing away these damn rockets, and it's like, why? Well, why not send them back and come back down? It's like, oh, no shit. We should be able to do that.
That's right.
Boom. Who's going to do it? But so it's fascinating. So that's cool, man. Get 15 properties. I love that strategy, man. I think that's
Rich Cosner. He's one of my bosses and one of my old bosses. I still talk. It's funny. I still talk to him today. I talked to I've had 5 real estate bosses in my career, and I talked to all 5.
That's awesome.
Well, let's say 4, because the 5th are my current bosses now. And I talked to all 5. I have all their cells. I go to lunch with some of them pretty much on a quarterly basis.
Wow.
And you know, to me, that's important because you don't want to burn your bridges.
Right.
You never know when you're going to need somebody again.
Right.
And I've had great relationships, and I rely upon them now. They've built great real estate companies, and why wouldn't I go to them for advice? You know?
Absolutely. He said it first, folks. Don't burn bridges. You know, at the end of the day, life is not a short-term thing. You're going to probably bump into these people unless you plan on moving all across the country. You know,
here's the crazy thing about it. So I've done real estate in Florida, California, and Colorado.
Oh, so wow.
In my 23 years in the business, like this guy, and this guy, Rich Cosner, was in California. He recruited me out to California from Florida. Gotcha. He's in Nashville now. And so here's somebody, and then this guy, Roger, who coincidentally, I had a conversation with him earlier today. We worked together in Florida. He then went out to Colorado, to Denver, and created his own company. And then a few years later, he moved me out to Colorado.
Wow.
And then he moved me back when his non-compete was up in Florida. And now we just had lunch the other day because he's coming back to Florida. He had gotten out. He's coming back now, and he's actually moving back down to Florida. So dude, this world is small, man. You never know.
So true.
What's going to take you.
And we're all connected on LinkedIn now. Like me and my men are now connected on LinkedIn and IG. And, you know, the whole point is the world is small.
you know, I'm so happy you said that. We are 1 degree of separation, especially you, because you're 200 something podcast episodes in. I'm 93 in.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I can look at pretty much every guest that I want to have on, and whether they'll be able to pull through and get the guests that I want on my show. The fact is that most of the people that I know or that I want on my show are 1 degree of separation away. It's no longer, I know Travis, who knows Mike, who knows John, who knows Gary Vee. Right. No, I know somebody who's got a direct link to Gary Vee now, you know?
Totally. And I'm connected to Gary Vee on LinkedIn. A long time ago, he connected to me. Shit, way back in the day. I haven't spammed him yet. Shit, I would love to have Gary Vee on the show. I'm going to hit him when the time's right. I'm going to keep doing my thing, keep building our show, and then when the time's right, I'm going to give him jab, right hook.
Well, what makes you think you're not ready now? I see. Now let's reverse engineer it now.
Well, I'm ready. It's just a matter of, honestly, I should ask Todd to outreach, you know, because I work with Todd in the Meltzers too. I should say, hey, let's outreach, you know, but I just feel like I'm building my story up to where I'm not ready yet to be on, like, in his presence until.
Come on, man. Don't give me that bullshit. I'm 93 episodes in. Grant Cardone, Grant Cardone,
yes.
Jordan Belfort, Tom Bilyeu, Brad Lee, Bedros Keuilian, Dave Meltzer.
Absolutely.
Man, I can keep going. I've had some of the, you know, Ryan Searhan from $1 Million Listing New York twice.
It would be way easier to interview him than it would be to be on his show.
Who? Interview who?
It would be way easier for me to interview Gary Vee than to me actually be on his show where he's interviewing me.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, for you to interview. Yeah,
I could definitely interview his ass. I definitely could be able, but I just talking about when I've been going on other people's podcasts and telling my story and telling about my struggles and journey and things like that. Yeah. That's when it's fucking hard, dude. Like, we're doing what you're doing. I mean, that's when the tail comes a little. It's a different side of the coin as a host.
Yeah, you know, this is, I think, my 4th podcast where I've been on this side of the
right.
Or this side of the mic, whatever way you want to do it. It's definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool too, man. You start to, It's funny doing these. I think also it kind of makes you relive some of the stuff you've been through in your life. You tend to forget it. You go through the motions.
So true.
And so you kind of remember, like, oh, dude, I had a kid at 19. Like, obviously, I always know I had a kid at 19.
Right.
He works for me in my marketing department, and so I'm reminded of that every day because he's my son. I love him, but dude, like the struggle that we went through to have him at 19 was unbelievable. Or just even telling me now, like, hey, I didn't buy duplexes last year or multifamilies last year because I had the money and I used all these excuses that it wasn't the right cap or the right property or whatever. No, I was fucking fear because I don't want to lose it all after having lost it all again, but I survived it, So these types of conversations are fun to be on this side because you get to relive some of the stuff that you went through and know that you got to where you are today as a result of all that stuff.
Right.
So I'm enjoying it, actually. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun, dude. It is fun. It's just it's an interesting practice. I think it's something that everyone can get better at telling their story, right? So it's been so fun for me too, as well as I've had the show for 5 years. It's so easy for me to interview people, but if I was to fucking go on Gary Vee's show, folks, I'd be like a little bit nervous. I'd probably be hella nervous, but to have him on my show, I think it'd be easier. So it's so interesting, like the different perspective.
Well, you'd probably be nervous to interview him too. I get nervous still.
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
yeah. Right. I mean, I'm a little bit of nerves, but I'm saying like just being a host is so much easier. So folks, this is a tip right now I'm going to give you guys is this: create an interview related show about your business and bring on your heroes, bring on the people like my man has done with the Closer Club. And we'll get into that. And that you can basically grow not only your own self and presence, but you're also interviewing your heroes, and interviewing people.
Anybody you want.
Yeah. And as it grows, you can be a Joe Rogan over time. You don't just do it overnight, but you don't even have to have Joe Rogan's numbers. You can have any level of numbers, folks. So just a little inspiration and tip. My man has got an epic show, the Closer Club, and we'll get into that. But now we're about to take you into our top 10. Are you ready?
I didn't even know we were doing this. Let's go, man. I love it. I love it when I don't have the questions beforehand. So.
Yeah. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix. Oh, wait, for what?
Depends on what you want to watch.
So, all right, fair enough. Netflix, because the only TV I watch is a show called Shameless on Showtime.
Okay.
I actually are you familiar with the show?
I've heard about it. No, I haven't watched it though.
One of the actors, I've had him on the show. I haven't.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, again, because you get to interview whoever the hell you want.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, on Netflix, and I've watched a couple other things. It's primarily YouTube. I personally prefer video over audio only. So I'll do YouTube. Let's pick YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. And there's so much learning on there, folks. Any topic you want to learn, as I always say, you got the University of YouTube at your hands.
That's right.
And there people are giving great knowledge. I always say just don't listen to one person because you never know if that person's just kind of swaying you their way, trying to do it. Listen to a few different people if you're trying to do investments like you're talking about, You got to know
the backstory, right? So like Grant Cardone gives great advice, but he also tells you don't own where you live, rent where you live, invest in multifamily.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, dude, understand my family, and he wants you to invest in Cardone Capital, and that's great, right?
That's great.
That's awesome. But tell that to my wife with 3 kids, 3 small boys at least. Yeah, she wants to own her property. We don't want to deal with the landlord. So
absolutely.
You pick and choose, right?
Absolutely. And you just
keep going.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Chicken or steak?
Steak.
Laptop or smartphone?
50-50.
50-50. I like your style. Spotify or Pandora?
Pandora.
Movies or video games?
Movies. Neither. I don't actually want.
You don't have too much damn time for that. You don't have time. Reading books.
I'm in The Irishman right now. I'm like,
oh yeah, that's a long movie, right? Like 3.5 hours, 3 hours.
Long.
I've heard it's really long.
One
of my tips, folks, is when the movie gets slow, I start speeding up and I just fast forward that part and I just go to the next part. Just for me. Shit, I just don't have the attention to watch these movies but you can get through a good movie in you sped up through the emotional parts and the slow scenes, because every movie has fucking slow scenes, dude. Every movie does. So when they're just making out or some bullshit, like some panoramic view, you're just like, okay, fast forward, that's cool. Boom, get to the scene. I'm sure at some point they're gonna have just like they do now, folks, with the Comcast, they have the smart resume or whatever. It's skips to the next. It skips through the commercials. I bet they do eventually have that for movies.
For sure. Absolutely.
Just making it more see the clip version, so it's still a good movie, but you don't get to see the clip notes. Stocks or real estate?
I don't own one stock. Never have.
Never have. Okay. Oceans or lakes? When you're going on vacations?
Oceans.
Oceans. Oh man, you guys got some beautiful oceans out
I'm
there.
in Miami, man. I got
Oh my
Miami.
God.
I mean, listen, we've done lake houses in North Carolina and all that stuff, but yeah, beaches by far. Beaches, salt water, man. Give me salt.
And that South Beach, man. I remember the first time we crossed that Ocean Boulevard or whatever it was right there. We were just like, God, this is heaven right now. This is
Ocean Drive. Yeah.
Yeah, Ocean Drive. It was just cool just to come up there for the very first time I've ever been there. I've been there about, I think, 5 times now, but on South Beach, this is a beautiful area, man. You guys live in a blessing area. So now we're about to get in a few more questions with you, my man. When you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're getting ready for your day, you're spiffing up. I see you got the hair right. You're ready to go. You say,
yeah, don't have my suit on today.
No suit today. Hey, it's no suit Friday. I got the Hawaii shirt. We're feeling good today, baby. Why do you love being you when you look at yourself in the mirror?
Why do I love being me? That's a deep question, dude.
It is.
I've never been asked that question, so we may have some radio silence here for a second.
That's fine, man. Absolutely. It's meant to be that question.
I will tell you that recently in my gratitude exercises, I've been actually saying to myself, I'm grateful that I'm a relentless mother effer, that I'm passionate, and that I can I have that positive state of mind, and that for lack of a better word, I'm a competitor. I'm a fierce competitor, and I'm a winner, and I love that I have that drive about me. So,
Heck yeah. And you got to have that drive. To be at your level, you got to have that drive. You can't just be, let's do this. No, you got to have that focus.
Not in real estate, not in South Florida, that's for sure.
Right. And it's good that you have both, because you got that extra drive and then you got the gratitude, which is, folks, if you can flush a toilet, if you can drink some water, if you can basically hug your loved ones at the end of the night, that's everything.
That's right. The fact that we're even doing this podcast is fucking awesome.
Absolutely. And one of Adam Markell, he had his TED Talk was just say it to yourself, I love my life. I love my life.
Look at that.
And it's crazy when you actually say that to yourself consistently, even going through the tough times, because sometimes I'm like, my daughter just like 15 minutes before the show, folks, my daughter just took a poop. Number one, we just got back from getting the bank done, getting all the errands done for the house, getting things set up. Because I knew I had to get my man. I had everything prepped for you, but I knew I had to deliver for you. I'm sitting in this moment, I'm like, holy shit, is this going to go wrong? Is she going to go to sleep? She started crying. I'm like, okay, folks, just say these affirmations and wait a little bit. And then boom, next thing you know, Zoom link to you and we're ready to go, baby. So
affirmations are powerful things, man. Very, very, very powerful things. And you know, it's funny. I warn people when I tell them about these gratitude exercises and the manifestation list and the gratitude exercises, because I will tell you that within 3 weeks, you really start to shift your mind and how you view the world. And if you're really making the effort to not pick the same exact things, I'm grateful that I woke up today. I'm grateful that I have kids and they're healthy. Like when you get away from that, you really get into the nitty gritty of the things that you're grateful for. Your lens on the world changes. And then you start to realize that misery loves company, and there's a lot of miserable people around you that are trying to suck you down and take you down with them. I was at a lunch the other day and this girl was like, yeah, I couldn't wake up this morning because I was just so tired. The person, and I just let it ride. The person next to her is like, yeah, I couldn't wake up this morning either. I'm so sore or whatever. The girl next to her, same, and it went like 5 people down. I said, hey, I go, you guys see what you're doing? Yeah. One of you said one negative thought and 4 of you went right down with it. Yep. You know?
Yeah.
So people love that shit. They love it. They love to be negative.
And there's days we are negative or something happens negative. Like my man said, on those tough days, he's doing 25 affirmations. So 25. On the good days, he's just doing a couple because it's like, shit, I closed a big deal. This happened, great things are happening, success. And then on a bad day, you're sitting there saying, oh shit, folks, let's really focus on what we're grateful for, because you know what? It puts it all in perspective. I think when you get through 20 plus things, you're probably thinking, God, I'm really grateful. Like things are really going pretty good overall in life, you know? And you got to tell yourself that. My wife always says, you got to be your biggest cheerleader. No one else is going to be your cheerleader.
Hallelujah, man. I watch these guys. It's funny. I go to my kids all play travel soccer, and I go and I stay away from the parents because I can get worked up.
Yes.
So I sit in the corner.
Yes.
Away from the fray. And it's like I hear these parents, they're cheering on their 10-year-olds like if they're going to the Super Bowl. It's like if you had half that passion for your life and for what you're doing in your career, you'd be so much further ahead. You know, they do it for their kids. 10-year-old kids, but they don't do it for themselves. It's like, how am I supposed to cheer my kid on if I can't even cheer myself on?
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, and sometimes it's tough too, but you have to tell yourself that, hey, shit, I'm a cheerleader. I'm going to pump myself up, even going through these tough moments, and know that you will be able to step it up, folks. You absolutely will be able to step it up, just like my man has done. And we have a mutual thing. And I lost one of my first properties that I put about $60,000 into through the recession. And I had to short sell it, folks, because that was the biggest change in my life, to get my credit back, to start investing, to really build momentum in my life and change my trajectory.
That's right.
But
short sale fucked us up.
Yeah, it did. I mean, so the point is, folks, is that at the end of the day, it's all about that rebound. It's all about getting that rebound. That's what life is. It's just gonna knock you down, and you got to get back in and start rebounding, baby. Do you think you'll ever retire?
No. I don't think I have that. I don't think I have that personality to retire. At least now, man. I don't know. I'm 41. If I were to say now the answer, no. I look at my dad. My dad's 73. He's rocking and rolling.
That's awesome.
Doesn't look like he's stopping anytime soon. I think I'm cut of the same cloth. I don't think I'm going to be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, there's so much research behind it. It's like there's like synapses in your brain that the more you're challenged, your brain continues to grow. If you're sitting there, folks, and watching Netflix or soap operas for your days and playing golf, you can only get so goddamn good at golf when you're 60, or 70 or whatever. So it's like, hey, folks, your life might change, but my man is always going to be trying to get some action on the business. He knows a lot about real estate, so he's obviously probably going to always have something related to real estate. I bet.
I think it'll always be something related to real estate. Whether 20 years from now I'm still in the real estate game in terms of like on the employment perspective, I don't know.
Right.
But definitely, real estate will always be a part of the personal economic structure of our family. At least I hope it is.
And you got something big, I think, in training other real estate firms how to grow their practice with realtors and keep them, and then also do the housekeeping. Boom! Right. I think that's something for you that you could drop dimes on.
I've been floated that idea if I
over time.
To consult with companies about helping them in how they scale their business the right way and how do you create platforms and programs to retain them? Right. You got to recruit them, but then you got to keep them, right?
Right.
And that's been floated. It's nothing that I'm going to tell you is at the top of my. It's not a part of my manifestation list. How about that?
Got you.
It's not there today. It could be there 5 years from now. Next year, who the hell knows, right?
The point is, you don't do things you don't want to do, right? And I love that.
Dude, so there's a very interesting story that I've been sharing a lot with people. It's about this professor with these golf balls, right? So imagine a professor. And the listeners, if they're listening, just close your eyes for a second. Imagine a professor in front of a class, and he pulls out a big mason jar, and he fills it with golf balls. And he now asks the class, is the jar full? And they all say yes, right? So then he takes out pebbles, and he throws pebbles in the jar. And the pebbles fill in between the golf balls. He asks the class again, is it full? They say yes. Takes out sand, puts sand in the jar. Now the jar is absolutely full to the top with sand, pebbles, and golf balls. Then he takes out 2 beers, pours 2 beers in the thing, right?
Wow.
So now everybody's laughing like, where are you trying to go with this? And he's like, listen, this represents your life. The golf balls are your family, your health, your loved ones, your job. The pebbles and the sand, that's all the BS that we have in our life. Like getting the chores done, cleaning the house, that kind of stuff, right? Get the car clean, whatever. And what he talks about is if you fill your jar with the sand and the pebbles, then you don't have time, for the golf balls, right? And so we do coaching within our company, and I used to just open up our 8-week coaching program with that and say, think about the golf balls in your life. And now we've shifted to one-on-one coaching. And what we're talking about is the golf balls in like taking your life aside for a minute. If you apply that analogy to your business, what are the golf balls in your business that only you can take care of? Everything else, if somebody else can take care of what you're doing, that's a pebble, that's sand, have somebody else do it.
Right.
You focus on only the golf balls. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm focused only on the golf balls in my life.
That's awesome.
And then it talks about the beer, because everybody asks me, well, what about the beer? It says no matter how busy you are, you always have time to have beer with a friend.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a cool analogy. It's a cool story. I love it.
That is a very cool story. Thank you for sharing that. I've never really heard an analogy like that, so I really appreciate it.
I got it from the internet, baby.
Yeah, I like your style. Do you? How do you start your day? Do you have a kind of routine for your day?
Workout 6 days a week. So
Good shit. Do you have a favorite kind of workout? Do you have a favorite body part to work out?
Yes, I do 2 things. So one is back in like 9, 10, 11, I did triathlons. end of 11, I got into CrossFit.
Okay.
To the point to where we live now, we actually ended up, my wife and I does it as well. We put an entire CrossFit gym in our garage.
Oh, wow.
And then last year I rediscovered my passion for triathlons. So I'm doing both. And
wow. Good for you.
actually the viewers won't see it, but you will. So I'm going to turn around. So that's my medal
Oh,
wall.
shit, dude. That's awesome.
Where I have all my racing medals and all that stuff. And that reminds me that, that's about 47 hours of clock time.
Right.
There's thousands of hours that go into that training. And so
oh my God, yes.
I use that with the agents. Like, hey, if those medals represent a closing, you're going to have to put in thousands of hours or hundreds of hours into training and getting better and prospecting and doing the things that you need to do to get that medal.
To get that one sale, to get that $1
that's
million sale, to get that $5, $10 million, $20 million, $100 million sale.
Right. So I work out every morning. That's a big, big, big part of my life. I like to compete.
Part of the routine too. That's what keeping you looking good, man. Hey, that good for you, bro. I've always thought triathlon would be an amazing feat. I've never actually done a triathlon. I'm good at swimming. I'm good at biking, but I actually never done anything like that. So I think it's an interesting challenge.
The hardest part is to swim because God forbid you stop swimming, you could drown. On a bike, you can stop pedaling, the bike will move.
Right.
You can always walk, so you could always do one.
You can always do one, yeah. But to push yourself to the limits and kind of really like compete, obviously that's when you really have to train.
Yeah, but I don't compete with the guys that are winning.
Right.
Last year I did 3 races that were the same distance. And there's like the first one I did it like an hour 5. So then the next one I wanted to break an hour. I went and I wanted to beat it. I did an hour 3. Gotcha. Then I was like, screw that. I'm going for the hour.
Right.
And I did an hour 30 seconds. So when I went to the fourth one, same course, a hurricane came and they canceled it because the hurricane was coming. And I couldn't do it. I was like, man, but I'll do it this year. I'm going to do it this year for sure.
That's badass, dude. So you're always it's just pushing your own personal best is what you're doing. You're just pushing your own personal goals, folks. And I think that's a good point to that. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about your podcast and where they can find it too, so that we can maybe drive some listeners there?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So this is what I did, right? Because I get asked a lot, why did I even start the show to begin with? And essentially there's almost 60,000 realtors in Dade and Broward County. So if you don't know the area, let's say Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Shit ton of realtors.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So for me, my customers as the president of the company are realtors and their customers are the buyers and sellers. So for me, if everything was the same, brokerage commission splits, the name of the brokerage, the support, if everything was the same, wouldn't you want to work for somebody who happens to be connected to some of the bigger names locally, the biggest real estate players? And I said, well, because I have those connections, I said, all right, well, how can I do it? What's the sandbox that realtors play in? Well, the sandbox that they play in is social media. Cool. What's the toy they play with the most in social media? It's video. And, because I've been in the business so long and I've interviewed thousands of realtors in my career, and you've done hundreds of episodes, so you know the game. You get really good at interviewing. So for me, it was just like, hey, the same way I interview an agent, I'm going to interview the guest.
That's awesome.
And so I started the show just leveraging some of the connections that I had. And then about 5 months into it, there was a real estate event down here that gets about 5,000 attendees.
Oh, okay.
And I reached out to the PR agency for them. And I said, listen, get me on a panel. You guys always have the same speakers every year, same speakers, great people. But dude, people are tired of hearing the same shit.
Right.
Get me on a panel. I'll crush it. And the PR agency and their friends of mine said, listen, Alex, we know you, we know your brokerage, but the company putting on the event doesn't know you and doesn't know your company. And I hung up the phone. I said, thank you very much. I didn't get discouraged. I said 2 things. The very first call I made was to Ryan Searhant from $1 Million Listing New York, which in our space is
he's a killer. He's a beast. Yes. He's a beast.
And then I said, screw them. I don't need them. I'm going to control my own narrative. And then from there, it's like, I got Ryan Searhant, and then I got Grant's wife, Elena Cardone, and then I got Patrick Bet-David, and I got Brad Lee, and then got into like Tom Bilyeu, and then it just kind of like grew to this platform where I've gotten some really big names. I don't I get 25,000, 30,000, 40,000 views, downloads.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's pretty good, man. For me,
dude, that's awesome. Are you kidding me? I mean, and you're doing it once a week. You're putting it out once a week.
Once a week, and the biggest challenge is in person, right? Because you're great at this, but I got to give you major kudos. You are great at doing a Zoom, split screen interview.
Thank you, sir.
I suck.
I'm trying to do it. It's much better to do everything in person. Shit, I'd rather be in Miami, folks. That's just weird.
It's hard. Like my wife looks at me. She's like, "You're freaking crazy." Like I'll fly. I remember when I interviewed Tom Bilyeu.
Yeah.
I think my interview with him was at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
Right? Or let's say it was 11. I think it was 11.
Mm-hmm.
I flew in. I landed at 9 a.m.
Wow.
Rented a car, drove to his house.
Damn.
Interviewed him. Drove right back to the airport, waited 7 hours for my flight.
Wow.
And then flew back on a red eye.
Damn.
And now I'm a little smarter about it. Now, like I'm going to LA in March. I'm doing 3 interviews.
Yes.
I'll do one live because what I do is I film them live.
Got you.
And then I take it after I film it live, like on Facebook.
Right.
I'll save it and then I'll pump it across YouTube and Facebook Business and Instagram and all that stuff. But I'm getting smarter about it now, and I'm doing 3. So 90% of my interviews are live. But if I'm going to go to LA, I'm going to do 3 or 4 interviews.
Absolutely, it makes the most sense now for your time too, as well as your show's growing. So hey, they should take your respect, and also you're a busy man.
Yeah, man. So
I remember
you find it at the easiest place. And again, you can if you go to YouTube,
mm-hmm.
it's thecloserclub.com.
Yes.
iTunes is The Closer, all one word, The Closer Club with Alex Vidal.
I love
Go to
it.
Instagram at Vidal Alex, Facebook Alex Vidal. So
it's awesome, guys. Hey, folks, you got to connect to this dude. Whatever industry you're in, if you're in any industry, but especially if you're in real estate, you got to connect to this dude and be connected to what he is doing in the world. And shout out to you for that passion and for behind your podcast, man.
thanks.
I know it's gonna.
You're going to find, sorry, you said something that kind of struck.
Sure.
Right? You said real estate. You know what I love? I'm actually getting away from interviewing real estate people. And
right. So you're
celebrity entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
Athletes on, business owners, politicians. I mean, you name it. Because at the end of the day, you can ask a question as, how do you handle high pressure? Right? One of my favorite go-to questions.
Right.
And you can ask it to a politician, to a celebrity entrepreneur, to an athlete, to, whatever. And they all, interestingly enough, they all have the same answer. They put in the rep in one way, shape, or form. We put in the reps so many times that when the pressure presented itself, it was like, muscle memory.
Routine.
Because we had put in the time so much, right? Yes, realtors, absolutely. Realtors follow it. I have a huge realtor following.
Right.
Particularly because I've had every single real estate coach that's on a national level on. Right. But the show's great for anybody that's in any industry. We're all in sales.
Well, it's an entrepreneurship sales motivation, because at the end of the day, like our show, it was started as social media because that's my business. And then over time, it pivoted into entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And we're a mile into interviewing most entrepreneurs, not as much social media folks. And then, so just know that it's okay if it pivots. The show changes over time. And also, like for you, now you're getting to meet bigger people. Now you're going to meet, it goes a little bit more than just the people that you've already, connected to in your industry. You already know these people. You don't need to bring them on 10 times. Go get after my boy, Tom Bilyeu.
Yep.
And I have a funny story about Tom, because I actually got a chance to interview him too on my show. Way back in episode 100 or 93 or somewhere around there. And our Skype, we weren't on Zoom. There was no Zoom at that time.
Got it.
So we were on Skype, and this shit would drop 3 times. And Tom still kept coming back. I was so embarrassed. And I think it was on his end, because he was kind of owning that his internet connection was kind of weak. But she just didn't know. Zoom is so clear and so defined. And for the most part, there's no perfect, connection. But the point is that you always have to just be grateful that things get better over time. I always say,
but shit gets messed up. When I interviewed Bedros Koulian,
Bedros,
Bedros is a beast, man.
He's a freaking beast too, man.
I love that guy. I love that guy. And actually, it's funny. I just, I told you about the gratitude exercises and all that. I literally texted him earlier today. And I'm just going through my phone. Absolutely. And I just told him, hey, man, I wanted to take a moment and just let you know how grateful I am to have met you, spend time with you, and now have you in my life. You made a greater impact than you realized.
Wow.
He goes, Alex, my brother, I appreciate that, my man. Grateful to have you in my life as well, and excited for the future to come, my friend.
Wow.
It's these are the relationships that you create. And with Bedros, so when I film with my iPhone 11 still.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? I'm a one-man show.
Yeah.
And I have lapel mics, whatever, and that's a whole nother story about how that evolved. But when I plugged in my lapel mics,
Yeah.
the music started playing, and I didn't on my phone, and I didn't know that because I'm mic'd up. It's not earphones.
Right.
Thank God he had his own crew filming the interview because I was able to get the content from him.
Got you.
Versus from my phone, which had us interviewing, but with music overplaying it. You know?
So shit happens, folks. That's why this show is called The Be Real, because shit can always happen, and that's just part of life. And you just have to embrace it
all the time.
It's always about the rebound, folks. We've been talking about that. I got one last question for you, my man. Be real. If you could sit down to a steak dinner with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Ooh,
and we might have lapel mics for this one too. As well.
I'm trying to think. That's a good question. I'd probably try to tell you one of my grandfathers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So my grandfather, he passed away when I was older. I was 19 because it was just right after my son was born.
Gotcha.
And him and I had an amazing relationship, and he was a very successful business owner in Cuba who had to leave it all.
Wow.
To come to Miami to flee communism, and he left a very successful sneaker factory business in Cuba. Or my other grandfather who passed away when I was 7, and I really don't remember much of that time with him. So I tell you one of them, man. Like if I want something from somebody else,
right, like
a famous person, there's a book that you can read,
right,
and so to sit with somebody famous, congratulations, right?
Yes.
That's not going to make a huge impact on my life. Sitting down with one of my grandfathers again, that would make a monster impact on my life.
That's amazing you said that too, because I think that I've had a few guests say someone like that. Like a lot of it's the wife or something like that too, as well, maybe to score kudo points in case she's listening. But the point is, it's so true. Like you can learn probably so much. Like when my grandfather passed when I was in high school, I mean, there's many questions I wanted to ask him now later. Because he always traveled the world and like was never really around here, just kind of like my dad, to be transparent with you. But the point is, that's what he built his life on, is like a life full of travels and just hearing his stories. And I get to see it because his wife, my grandma, is still alive. So she's in her 90s, but she still tells the stories, and it's just real fun. I get to kind of ask her questions through them. And I still believe like maybe they're listening to this show. You never know. The world's full of amazing things, and the universe is full. You just never know. So you put that intentions out there. Can I also ask you, can you give our listeners one last real talk thought?
Real talk thought. It's all your fault.
Boom. Boom.
Let's leave it there. It's all your fault. If it's happening, good or bad, it's all on you. Simple as that.
That's royal right there, folks. It's all your fault.
Pretty much.
And where's the best place for people to find you? I know you gave them a shout out again.
I'll put that on Instagram at Vidal Alex, VIDALALEX.
Absolutely. Folks, you've been hanging with Alex Vidal and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you again for your time today, and let's keep being real. Right now, more than ever, folks, we need to work on our reputation for our businesses and get those reviews, get those positive reviews, get those positive recommendations on both on your social, but also to market on your website. And that is why you want to check out my business, folks, our software, realtimereputation.us. That's realtimereputation.us. Please check it out. It is literally the best thing that's ever happened to many of our campaigns, as that reviews bring together your social and digital campaigns. And the more positive reviews, as people are making those positive, decisions, they're looking at your, at your reviews. And so the more you can get, the better. And make it easy and automated with realtimereputation.us. Check us out. What's another epic episode? And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform? And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today.